In episode 3.1 of Unshuffled, we discuss the 2001 debut album from French metal band Gojira. But first, as always, here's our awesome intro music from Seven Planets. This is Woo Woos. I don't know. You're not 2 days away from your 50th birthday, are you?
I'm not. Wait, are you?
No, but well, it won't be long. Our listeners have no idea. Well, hopefully they've listened to the album, but those who haven't will have no idea what we're talking about.
No.
They don't even know who we are at this point.
It's been ages.
It's been a long time.
The last time we did this, we were commenting on how long it had been since the one prior.
Yeah.
It's officially been longer.
Yep. It's longer. I've traveled further too.
Well, I was going to say, look how much of the world has been traversed in that time. I've gone from the U.S. I'm now, listener. I'm back at ground zero where the magic started in Jakarta in my kitchen. Where we started recording. I'm back. We got here a couple weeks ago. We'd been gone since March in the U.S. You, however, in the meantime, first off, are the most quarantining person I think I've ever met, and you've traveled. You were the last one we did. You were in Australia. You were at your sister's house. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, you were here in Indonesia, next door, where your house now is. They keep leaving the lights on. It's kind of unnerving.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. As long as you don't see any shadows passing in front of the window. Or anything.
Not so far. And now go ahead and you finish the story.
Yeah. So last podcast I was in Australia in my hometown. Now we're in my wife's home country of Italy. So we've left the Australian winter and we've come for the beautiful, warm Italian summer. But yet we are still in quarantine, as you said. A very different quarantine experience this time. In Australia, we were in a sealed hotel room. Here we're in my wife's parents' apartment. They're away. But yeah, we have access to all the goodies that Italy has to offer, including some really nice home-delivered pizza and anything else that might make the quarantine a much more pleasant stay than the previous one. And we're almost done. It's been a breeze. Still looking forward to being able to interact with other human beings soon. And nice to see you too.
Oh no, it's great to see you. I think I'm imagining that Jakarta is exactly what it was as you left it.
It doesn't change.
Nothing's out of place. I do have a couple CDs of yours.
Oh, you're right. Well, enjoy.
That I brought back from the U.S. and figure out
give them a spin.
Have any? Yes, I will. Oh, I can in the car. This is. Oh, yes. Actually, I didn't even think about that. That's driving to work music.
Yeah.
Just had that
revelation. You're gonna love it. Anyway, so we are Unshuffled. We are all about musical intentionality. So thank you for joining us as we continue our journey. And the next phase of our journey begins today. This is episode 3.1. So we're on to our third band at last. The band's name is Gojira. And we're going to start with their first album. We've never heard Gojira before, and this is what we're doing on this podcast. We're picking bands that we know we should have listened to and haven't got around to it. How we missed, well, I don't know, speaking personally, how I missed Gojira, I don't know. I have seen them live, but they were supporting Mastodon in Melbourne in 2012. I didn't take a lot of notice for them. I was there to see Mastodon. But now it's so nice to finally go back and give them the time that I should have given them long ago. So yeah, we're going to start with their debut album today, which is called Terra Incognita, and we'll pick it up from there and work our way through their entire discography. We might have one minor interruption because there is an Atomic Bitchwax CD out maybe today.
It's out. It's out.
Yeah.
I have it.
Yep. Okay.
I haven't listened to it. I'm waiting, but.
All right. So let's decide at the end of the podcast whether we listen to that one or go on to the next Gojira album. But today we're doing Terra Incognita by Gojira, and at some point in the future we'll do episode 3.2 and continue through their discography. Unless some other band releases something like Pale Grey Law might just pop out some release along the way or something. Who knows?
I think we're off the hook for surprise releases for the time being.
Okay.
Nobody seems to be going into the studio right now.
No, although Gojira have recently released a song which we'll get to eventually.
There's my that's my confession.
Okay. All right. Out with it then.
I've listened to it. It's great. It's I want it to be my favorite song on this album, but
you're breaking the rules.
But it can't be. I've not listened to it. Like it came out. I haven't listened to any other Gojira, right? So I haven't listened to anything else. Right. But that track came out, I think, like a week or two ago, and I was out grilling and I listened to it, and it's just like, oh man, this is so good. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's promising that it's good, though. I'm glad they haven't turned into some, I don't know, barbershop quartet or something. Or is it?
Well, I'm not telling.
All right. So if you haven't listened to Terra Incognita, the debut album from Gojira yet, our recommendation is that you stop the podcast now, go and listen to it. You can download it off Bandcamp. You don't have to wait for the physical media to arrive, or get the physical media if you can, and listen to it before you listen to this podcast. This is designed to be a companion podcast to the listening that you've already done. And we want you to form your own opinions and have the same experiences that we did going in with very little knowledge of the type of music. In fact, this is not what I expected. I don't know about you, but in fact, let's have that conversation now, because I expected something very progressive and very Mastodon-y. Mm-hmm. So I expected heaviness and technical drumming and guitaring, but I didn't expect death metal. And I think that's what we got. Is this a death metal? I think it's a death metal album. I mean, the vocals would suggest so.
The vocals would suggest so. Okay. It was a little industrial-y for kind of what it was, more industrial than what I would normally be listening to. And this is where, so I've heard, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say this actually, because I don't know why I haven't listened to this band. I'm glad I haven't, because I think this is going to make the next 6 episodes of this pretty fun. But but the newest song it's when I heard that was where I was like, oh, okay, that's what I was hoping for.
Right.
And so if I can, I have my suspicions as to why, if I can go into the stats here of the album.
Yep. So okay, let's do that. So it's your job each podcast to give the album details, the date, the label, and the credits. So you might as well hit us up with that now.
So it came out. It was originally released March 19th, 2001, and then I think it was just kind of like several, the bands that we've been looking at so far, where that debut album just kind of just disappears into the ether, right? And I think that happened here, because then it was re-released in 2009. And so I'm imagining it was based on the strength of what they've done since, that sort of there was a demand for this, that it was re-released. And then it was re-released, it was remastered and re-released again in 2016.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of been tinkered with over the past, 19 years or whatever since it's been released. But it is very much a product of sort of that late 2000, early 2001 kind of metal scene that was happening. And anyway, and so it was produced. It seems, as far as I can tell, it was self-produced by the band that's Gojira, and it was recorded in Belgium, Impulse Studio.
Yep.
And the lineup looks like we've got two brothers, Joe. They're French. I'm gonna destroy these names, by the way.
You're close enough to Canada to get this. You live close enough to Canada to get this right.
Joe Duplantier and Mario Duplantier are the singer and the drummer. And then Christian Andrew is the guitar player and I believe the model for the album cover. And Jean-Michel Labadie is the bass player.
Yeah, you did murder it.
They were Spanish.
I don't know. Yeah, of course. I don't know what version you were listening to, but I'm assuming same one as me, the Bandcamp listenable records download, which I think is the remastered, most recent one with a few live tracks. A few live tracks thrown on at the end. I did try and, I like to get the original releases when I can, and I did try and find it. The only version I could see was on Discogs.com, and it was a 3-figure price tag on it. So if you've got it, congratulations, and send me an email. I'll buy it off you.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I gathered. I think they had their set number that got released, and then once it was gone, and it wasn't until 2009 that you could get it back.
Yeah, so I didn't buy the physical for this, and I probably won't for the next one. They're a little harder to get, but I think they get easier to get as they get into their later and bigger albums.
So I did want to share my listening experience with this stuff. My first listen was actually it was on the flight. I was trying to, because sort of after we finished our last podcast, much of that, the rest of that was scrambling us, trying to get COVID tests, trying to get flights, trying to get everything packed up and get back here. And so things got pretty chaotic. And it wasn't until that Chicago to Tokyo flight that I had 13 hours. And so my plan was to listen to it. Anybody who's traveled with toddlers knows that I was listening in fits and spurts. I would get a song in, and then some time would pass, and I come back and get another song. But it was finally on the leg from Tokyo to Jakarta where the kids had just worn themselves out and slept, where I was able to actually just listen to it finally straight through, start to finish.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of weird.
I was all set up to do something similar on our flight from Melbourne to Abu Dhabi, but they've changed the headphones on flights now. They have these in-ear ones that my son found very uncomfortable and couldn't get them to sit in his ear. So I had to give him my Sennheisers, and I sort of gave up on the whole idea. But since arriving here and in this quarantine phase, I've had a good week here of every night. Once the kids are in bed, okay, it's Gojira time. And I've had a good week listening to it. I've thoroughly enjoyed just some solid listening time again. And of course, I'm not working like you, so I'm less worn out and in a much different frame of mind, I'm sure.
You do. You look refreshed, daisy-ish, I believe.
Yeah. It's not a bad life. Okay, so is that it for the? So you've given us the album details. The original label was
Gabriel Editions.
Gabriel Editions, and then the most recent one is Listenable. Was there one in between? I'm not sure.
No, it went from Gabriel Editions was the first run, and then Listenable has done the re-release and the remaster. So they did the 2009 and the 2016.
Right. Okay. And the photo on the cover is one of the band members. You said the guitarist.
I believe it's Christian Andrew.
Yeah, and I think the photo was taken by.
I think it was the singer, Joe Duplantier, right?
or no, I think it was the sister of. I think it was the Duplantier sister,
Oh, okay.
who's also a photographer who took that. So
Got it,
yeah,
got it, got it. Okay.
so very much a Duplantier family affair, that including the album artwork. But did you like the front cover?
They got a flexible guitar player. I kind of, whatever. It is what it is. I didn't.
Quite liked it. It's
Yeah.
very artistic, very striking. It's a memorable cover. I think it's a good one.
All right.
And the title is Terra Incognita, which the Wikipedia entry tells us has links to. Well, it's a Latin word for unknown land. It has links to Hinduism with. Well, let me just read the Wikipedia entry. According to Hindu legend, Brahma hid the divinity that he had taken from humanity for the punishment of its abuse inside each man in these unknown lands. Apparently, I don't know. There's no citation on that, by the way.
Apparently.
Apologies to our Hindu listeners if I've got that wrong. But yeah, it is an exploration of the unknown land inside. It's supposedly inside the human beings, and we'll get into the themes as we go. And perhaps we can start now if you want to jump into the track by track.
Yeah, let's do it. Track 1 is Clone.
Clone. Now, is it clone in capital letters or is it just clone? Because for some reason, when I play it, it comes up clone in capital letters.
In capitals.
Yeah.
I can get that answer for you right
It might have just been
no.
Might have just been a quirk of the download.
It might be a quirk. I'm not, or it's not on mine.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's got one of the last time we did had an atmospheric sort of sound effect opening, and this one has one too. The I called it the creaking door effect here that sort of sets the scene for the album. This one has the sound of some kind of machine, which you soon sort of realize is a printer, I think. And then you think, well, what are they printing? And then the lyrics kind of lead you to think, well, they're kind of printing a human being here,
right? Printing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like this also, the opening sort of gives way to there is this, I kept thinking of like just pistons, just sort of pistons firing very frenetically, almost this jackhammering rhythm, but it changes up. I mean, it's not a monotonous, right? And I guess by saying it sounds like that the pistons kind of makes it sound like it doesn't change, but it does change. It does. It absolutely changes up. And the drum, here's the thing about this band. I don't have the technical language to talk about the things that I want to talk about in several of these songs. I'm just I've just got like the basic words, and then it just sort of it kind of fills it. I don't know how to describe what's happening here.
That's all right.
I wish I understood drumming better to talk about what he's doing with the double kick, what he's doing with like the fact that the fills, there's something like his feet are just going like crazy, but then the fills just feel like everything's pulling back, and it's, I know, like, doesn't Slipknot have like 15 drummers? And it feels like that. It feels like there's just, there's one guy doing the arms and one guy doing the feet, and they're not even listening to the same song, but somehow it all just fits.
Yeah, I think the drumming certainly jumps out at you from the opening of this album and right through the rest of the album. I mean, it's incredible. And what is your experience with this, with death metal and sort of extremely heavy music? Were you a fan at any stage of sort of extreme or industrial or super heavy death metal bands?
I guess, what are you thinking when you're thinking super heavy death metal bands?
Well, I mean, like Morbid Angel, because I'm just, the first bands that jumped into my head when I heard the opening of this were Death, Morbid Angel, and and the sort of industrial precision of maybe a Fear Factory or one of those late 90s.
So yeah, that's what I was getting. Is that
technical bands.
so? Death and Morbid Angel, yes, I'm familiar and I listened. Fear Factory was that. See, okay, so that was kind of where I veered off, and I think I even had Fear Factory on my list as a band that I never gave a proper listen to. I mean, I listened to, but it felt a little too industrial for me, so I kind of just never really pursued. And there were elements here where I was listening to this, and I did find myself going, I'm hoping we're not going down that line.
Right, yeah. I mean, I wasn't a big Fear Factory fan. I mean, I knew a few of their songs. It wasn't a band that I explored in depth. But certainly the Death and Morbid Angel influences, and the band themselves have spoken about those two bands as influences, as well as Sepultura.
So Sepultura was one that I was thinking of quite a bit also while I was listening to this.
Yeah, I think the drumming certainly reminded me of, what was his name? Igor Caballero, I think, was the drummer.
Igor, but even Sepultura's new drummer is
right
on the most recent couple albums. He's amazing, and yes, right. And so Sepultura's kept that thread, and this is very I agree.
So yeah, I mean, I just didn't expect to put it on here, Death and Morbid Angel. It caught me off guard a little bit, but then once I sort of embraced the drumming and especially the sound of that kick drum, man, I was like, yeah, okay, I remember why I used to love this music. I don't listen to it much, this type of music much these days. But
it doesn't stay there though. That's the thing, is it's not like there's all the different. So I mean, we'll get to. I mean, of course, we're going to get to, Satan as a lawyer, but this idea that, but there are, even within the songs, like this one has at the 3-minute mark, all of a sudden there's just this mood shift.
Yep. So let's get to that. So that slower section, there's a semi-acoustic sort of guitar section leading into some strong chords, some vocal rounds. So some hint of some singing. There was some sort of death metal style vocals early on, but there's a hint of some singing in that slower section. And then and then he sings, and the cradle is falling down, and then we lead into this sort of breakdown. And I just love that riff there, sort of about 2/3 of the way through. And we get some of those pinched harmonics that's where the Morbid Angel thing that. Now I've heard it. I've read in a review. The pinched harmonics like Diamond. What's his name? The Pantera guy. Dimebag.
Daryl.
But this, I never thought Dimebag when I just thought Trey Azigthoth, the Morbid Angel guitarist, was the guitarist. At any
point did you think Rage Against the Machine? Was there any Tom Morello? And I found there were a couple moments where, and maybe I do like this, especially when we get to like track 10, Rise, I'll talk about the Dimebag Daryl. Like I definitely feel Pantera vibe on that one. But there were moments where I felt like the thing with Tom Morello is that I feel like with his guitar, he was always trying to sort of imitate like a DJ, right? And sort of just the record scratching of a rap track, and I kind of got the same with Andreo's guitar here, where there was sort of like his guitar in some some moments feels very metal, but in other times it feels kind of almost hip hop.
Right. It never occurred to me, but I'll give it another listen and see. Interesting observation. But no, it's not one that I shared, but interesting. Were you a Morbid Angel fan?
A little bit. I never got into, I liked Morbid Angel, but I didn't, it wasn't I had a buddy who was really into Morbid Angel. And so most of my Morbid Angel listening came just when I was hanging out with him, but I didn't, it wasn't something that I listened to a lot when we weren't hanging out, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so the song has that nice slower section, finishes, back with, I guess, a chorus. I don't know if it's a chorus. It's the only repeating section of the song. Did you like the first song?
I did.
Yeah, I really like this first song, and it sort of got me back into that sort of mid-90s angsty young man that I was, and sort of just re-embraced the heavy here. The themes, obviously cloning, eugenics, are big themes here. One of my favorite films is Gattaca, so it sort of brought back some of the themes that film explores about perfecting the human sort of genome and taking in some ways taking the humanity out of humans, which matched, I thought, the industrial sound of the song and certainly that opening Printer sound. Some great lyrics, and a really strong opening track to their debut album.
Well, so let's move into Lizard Skin then, track 2.
Yeah.
And my comments here are just exclamation points and again the drums. And here is where it's just like there's this, after 2 minutes, there's like this onslaught of drumming, and this is where I wish I had the technical language to actually describe what he's doing here, or even just the wording to properly somehow convey the aural imagery behind it. But the best I could come up with is just like somebody had just kicked the Tin Man down a hill and he's just rolling down the hill, and that's what we're hearing. It's just I'm just listening to him, just like oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a rhythm song. This one in particular. I mean, there's not much melody in the guitar. It's almost like the death metal helmet. A lot of one note rhythms. Great rhythms. One thing that I started to pick up on in this song was not just how good the drumming is, but how well it was recorded, and it really fills out the whole stereo spectrum when you listen. So the cymbals and the toms, you can hear it across the sort of aural field from left to right. When he does a tom fill or hits a cymbal, you can place it, in the at some point between the left and the right extremes of your listening. So I mean, I was listening through headphones, and the drums had been particularly well recorded, I thought, and I'm sure that's going to continue in their later albums. But the drums. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was thinking I hadn't thought about this until you said this about the recording quality of it. But the fact that it's the debut album, it's self-produced, and it essentially, for all intents and purposes, had disappeared for 8 years. The recording is really, really well done.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're absolutely right. I hadn't put all that into consideration until you said that. It absolutely is. And to record the drums is not, I mean, that's not easy. You've got a mic, and as you're saying, to keep it consistent going down the toms, that means everything was carefully mic'd. Some time was put into that.
Yeah. It's very well recorded. The lyrics, I mean, you can hardly hear the lyrics in this. This is Cookie Monster on steroids. They're really hard to discern. It's something about transformation, whether it's metaphorical or literal, I'm not sure, but there's some sort of, it's called Lizard Skin. It's something about transforming or something, but really this is a drum song and a rhythm song. It's not an easy listen, but I think, the rhythms of this song are great, and it's just a drumming showcase. So if you like hearing a human being do some pretty incredible things on the drums, I thought this was a really good song.
What's great about that comment is if you go online and try to find the lyrics, there are several moments where there are brackets with like 4 question marks and then a word following. So
yeah. No, I was looking on Dark Lyrics. I'll put a link in the show notes. I think they've got them right, but I don't know. it's not about the lyrics, that song. It's about the drums.
Right.
So let's get into Satan is a Lawyer. Now, this song, in the reviews that I've read, has been portrayed as a failed experiment. What are your thoughts?
I read the same. The reviews that I read weren't kind to this. I appreciate the song. I appreciate the fact that it does show it. I guess not out of nowhere. We're only on track 3. It's not, maybe feel a little different if it was track 6, but all of a sudden we just get these clean guitars. The drums all of a sudden become just very straight, just very kind of everything. I don't know what they were going for with this, but everything's just clean. It shows range. I mean, they tear into it. The song ends kind of back where we started.
Yep.
I mean, with the first, but I appreciated it. I liked it.
Yeah, I like this too. The System of a Down came to mind with this song.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Absolutely.
I mean, it was very different. I mean, it could have almost been a different band, but I like the fact that they were trying. It was something different. It's still, and I love the interplay between the sort of playful verses and the super heavy, riffy, chorusy bit.
I always like it when the vocals, like when you've got that Cookie Monster on steroids vocals that you were talking about before, and then all of a sudden you hear it, and there's that moment where he's carrying a melody, and you're just like, oh, he can sing.
Yeah.
And this kind of.
Yeah. I wasn't sure that there was some extreme demonic vocals towards the end that I wasn't sure if that quite matched the song, like singing about lawyers, sounding like you're singing from the sort of 8th level of Hades. I mean, I get it. Lawyers are evil is what the song's about, but I don't know. Maybe it was just a little incongruous, perhaps. But I liked the song, and I thought the criticism of it as a failed experiment was completely unfounded and unfair.
What was the date when that review was written?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and a lot of the reviews I've read are written with the wisdom of hindsight, and I think that's one of the things I love about what we're doing is that we don't know any of their later albums, so we don't. A lot of the reviews I've read are, oh, it's a good album, but their other stuff's much better.
Yep. Same.
So it shows the value of starting when you want to listen to a band. Start with their first album because you don't have that feeling of it's all right, but And now when we do get to listen to their later albums, we'll be able to understand where they've come from, and we sort of hearing the sort of germination of what they're doing.
Progress.
Yeah, so hopefully people are coming with us, and there's other listeners who are experiencing this without having listened to later Gojira albums and saying, it's all right, but don't listen to it. Listen to their 5th album or whatever. But, I thought this was a good song, and it's a band. Bands have to find their feet. Most bands don't instantly know what they're about, and you try a few different things. And I thought this was a very good song in itself, and I had no problems with it. I thought it was unfairly criticised.
I agree.
Now we get a little interlude next. I think it's just called 04.
Right.
Track 4.
And as I understand it, it was a birthday present for their mother.
Yeah, I think it was their uncle calling their mother a couple of days before her 50th birthday, which is where the intro to this podcast came from today. And then it's a nice little musical interlude and a break from the heavy 3 songs that preceded it.
And the doubling of the bass sounds is really cool. I'm curious to know who plays the bong. That was interesting choice and birthday present for your mom, but who am I to judge?
I didn't even pick it up, so there you go. Well spotted. My problem with this and a couple of the other musical interludes throughout is they have these kind of unsettling background noises. So you kind of think, oh, this is nice, a nice little relaxing moment here on this otherwise pummeling album. But then in the background, you've got sort of tortured screams or whatever it is.
That comes into play later.
You never can quite get too relaxed. But I thought it was a useful, an interesting little interlude in the album, and it also serves as an introduction, or it leads into the introduction for the next song. So the end of this morphs into the start of the next song, which is called Blow Me Away, Universe. So let's get into that if you finish with 04. Any other thoughts on 04?
No, I like. I was going to say with the title, I like how they played with it.
Yeah, and I think it's fun. The start of this is really fun. This is a commando in a sort of fake US war movie voice. So it's a complete parody of the US war film, and I guess by extension, the sort of macho US military industrial complex in a way at the start of this. It's more of a mid-tempo song, and I really like this song. It actually reminded me a little bit in tempo and sound of the Deftones, who are one of my favorite bands. A very rich, thick guitar sound, that mid-tempo riff, and I almost thought, I wouldn't mind a little Chino Moreno guest appearance here. Would have been nice.
They have a new album coming out, by the way.
Yeah, yep, good.
Here's the thing about this. So this song, I also enjoyed it. I liked it. And I think I've been declaring Mario the winner of each of the songs I've heard so far. This is one where I was impressed with the vocalists. I was impressed with the fact that he seemingly can do it all. He can scream, he can growl, and he can carry a melody. And not only can he do it all, he does it all in this one song.
Yep.
So I was kind of, if there's a gold medalist of this song, I'm gonna have to give it to him.
Yeah. Some good lyrics too, including some French La Dame de Fauve. The themes here seem to be about birth, death, rebirth. So there's references to sort of love and fertility goddesses, Artemis being one. I think this is my favorite on the album. This is a really good mid-tempo stomp. I love the riff throughout it. I found myself sort of singing and humming along to this. I love the way it finishes with "Go to Venus."
I was going to say Venus makes an appearance as well.
Yeah, Venus. I think it's the planet, great song. Great song. Love "Blow Me Away," and I think it's one that they've played live semi-regularly, certainly in their early days. I don't know how often they play it these days, but and there is live footage of this about. Good song.
So the next one is 5,988 trillions de tons. Somebody playing the spoons in this song? Is that what I'm hearing?
I didn't hear the spoon, but there is a lot of percussion. This is, I think, this is where I heard a bit of Sepultura influence, that sort of bringing that sort of tribal vibe to it. The closest I've heard to this was in a book that my 6-month-old daughter has, where you press little buttons about world music, and you press little buttons and it plays a little 20-second sample from different of music from different parts of the world. And this was Senegalese was the one that I thought, that sounds like Gojira. I'm not sure that many other kids' books would have that connection, but I thought maybe
only the best.
Yeah. So I thought maybe they've picked up a little bit, and I think Senegal was, the French and the Senegalese do have some historical links, of course. So Maybe that's something they picked up through the years. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think when they talk about being influenced by Sepultura, I think I certainly could hear that in this one. There's also a bit of a Morrisound studio, so that death metal scene was a lot of the American death metal in the 90s came out of Morrisound, and he was famous. Was what's his name? Scott Burns was famous for generating these industrial sort of sounds in, at this maybe at the start of a song, like a Sepultura song or an obituary song or something, that he would have a really cool big sound that you could hear in this one as well. So there's a bit of influence both from the 90s death metal scene and from the sort of tribal Sepultura stuff.
Track 7 is Deliverance, right? Or we're on track 7, Deliverance.
Yeah.
Here again, I found the lyrics were again we're kind of moving into sort of this otherworldly. I'm not sure who Thanatos is, but maybe think of the Avengers. Probably has nothing to do with the Avengers.
I did look up Thanatos. I think he's the god of death, I think.
All right.
One of those, Roman or Greek or something.
But again, Joe Duplantier, the singer, is doing some cool things with his voice. He's moving from the melodic to the growl and moving back. But he does it so seamlessly in this song, where it just there's no interruption as he moves from like the vocal stylings, from singing to growling to it's very well done.
In fact, I think this has my favorite vocal moment on the album, and it's only one line, but when he says nothingness is all around, he's actually you can hear the sort of fear in his voice as he delivers that line, and he breaks from the Cookie Monster stuff and just says nothingness is all around, and it's as if he's in an empty void and experiencing the fear at the time. So I agree. It's a nice vocal performance,
and it hangs there just for that moment, and then it goes right back into it.
There's also some sort of Tibetan throat chanting early on. It almost sounds like it gallops off like a traditional metal song at a sort of almost like an Iron Maiden tempo early on. But I mean, Gojira, by this stage, you're realizing this is far from a traditional metal band, and there's a lot of twists and turns throughout. But it was the closest I thought to a traditional sounding metal song for much of the song.
And this moves us into track 8, Space Time.
Yeah. Now, just before we go there, I haven't seen a double, like an album, like an LP breakdown, but I'm assuming Deliverance is the end of the first side.
Well, that would make sense, right? I mean, there are.
It felt like it to me. It felt like it should be the last song on side 1. And in fact, the first time I listened to this, I listened to it and thought, I actually need a break now. I've enjoyed it, but I got to go to bed. I can't do another, this again. So it felt like a natural break at the end of this song before Space Time.
And I agree, because there is a difference between track 7 and 8. And I think 8, Space Time, is I think that's my favorite track on the album.
Okay.
And it's this is the moment where I first started feeling a sort of a Tom Morello influence, Rage Against the Machine influence. There's the sort of, again, the technical language. I want to know what are the effects he's using on the guitar. I want to know, how is he getting that sound? So this is, and I looked. I tried to find like sort of what pedals he's using, what pedals he used on this album. I came up empty. But there was kind of that feel with it. I really, again, I'm going to go back to the drums. There's this whole, the drums and the guitar, they play off each other. The guitar has sort of like this drilling sound, and it's being matched up against sort of this chugging double bass kick of the drums, just the ambiance and the mood being established by those two instruments, and then you get a little piano at the end. Just
Yep. And there is some variation in the vocals. So we do get some singing in the second half of the song. Also, I thought I hadn't noticed the bass much up to this point, but I noticed it much more from this point onwards. From this song, you do get that standalone bass through the verses, and much more in the second half of the album. Often early on, I thought he was mirroring the guitar more than not, but much more in the second half, you get the standalone bass lines where one of the guitarists stops playing and just gives the bass player some space.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I guess I didn't take any notes about that in this song, but I did from 9 onwards started making more mention of the bass. So yeah, that is interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah. I also heard some Mastodon in the vocals on this one. So now I don't know who influenced who, but as I said, I saw this band support Mastodon, and this would, I don't know if it predates Mastodon or not. 2000. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure who influenced who, but I heard a little bit of Mastodon in the singing here.
They also have a new album coming out.
Yeah.
So
enough to listen.
Keeping you on your toes.
Right.
Track 9 on the BOTA.
I'm so embarrassed I had to look this up. It's in the lyrics.
It is in the lyrics, but it's not. I still don't understand what it means.
On the brink of the abyss. Anyway.
Oh, I thought it was you're right. Yeah. I thought it was the French bit when he goes into the and I was like, okay.
Oh well, at least I'm not the only stupid one on this podcast.
All right. So this is the one where I really like how the bass, the guitar, and the drums all work together, and I think this song's got a really cool groove, and I like how all three of them are very sort of interwoven and intertwined in driving that groove.
Yep. Yeah, nice short song, more of an interlude song. Not often you get a death metal band quoting Baudelaire in the lyrics, but there you go. You've got a little bit of that here too. Do you teach any French poetry in your English? I mean, you teach English, but not French, right? But do you ever touch on the French poets?
No, I've taught like Camus, but no, never any of that.
Okay, maybe we'll get some Camus in a later album.
Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, nice song this, and I did like the bass in this one, but more of not really a standalone song, a short song that sort of bridges the gap to the next few.
Right. Which leads us into 10 Rise, and this one had this is the one where I felt a definite sort of Pantera vibe in the groove again. Right. You know, the way that the bass, the drums, the guitar all kind of work together. Even his singing just felt kind of mid-era Pantera.
Okay. Yeah. It was more of an angel for me. So there you go. Fall from Grace was the song that came to mind for me listening to this. To me, this wasn't a standout track. I don't know. It had plenty of twists and turns. It had that interesting sort of wooden percussion coming back in the last minute. And like a few of their other songs, a real drumming showcase, but nothing stood out for it. It's not one that I can easily recall now, even talking about it. I can't.
What stood out was if this track, if Rise and Fires Everything, tracks 10 and 11, if they sort of bled into each other and sort of were kind of just one track.
Yep.
Because they feel like the way that they bleed into one another, it would have made for an interesting single track.
Yep. Yeah, with that sort of percussion glock thing in between.
Right.
Yep. Fires Everything. Now these guys, or one of the members of this band, went and lived in a forest Prior, I think it was the singer. Yeah, for 2 years, I think lived in a cabin with no electricity. No contact with civilization. I don't know how you'd go with that. How would I'm not sure I'd be very good with it.
No, God no.
Especially these days, man. Maybe back then it wasn't as big a deal, but now it's like, does this tree have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. We're missing 2001. You weren't missing Wi-Fi.
No. So I'm sure it will be harder now. Plus, climate change has made the sort of fires that they're singing about in this song much more common. But yeah, I mean, the ultimate threat to that sort of existence is fire. So that's what this song is about. It's literally an ode to fire. Now, I tried to have that, that experience where the Wizard of Oz lines up with a Pink Floyd song.
Yeah. By the way, this is the second Wizard of Oz reference in this podcast.
I reckon I can line this up with the fire scene from Bambi. I gave it a go. It kind of worked at a couple of different times. I did. I played this with the fire scene from Bambi, which is great cinema, by the way. If you haven't seen Bambi, it's not all, it's a cute little sad deer thing, but I mean, there is some great cinematography in that film. And yeah, this sort of frantic opening, and there is that sense of urgency in that fire scene in Bambi where they're racing through the forest and there's burning trees falling in their path. And I got that vibe a lot from this song, that the danger of a forest fire and the panic that it might induce.
Absolutely, the song's relentless. In fact, to illustrate how relentless it is, there are a couple moments where it just stops to let you catch your breath.
Yeah.
And then it just drives back into it. But it absolutely, you said frantic earlier. It's 100% frantic.
Yeah. There is that slow riff towards the end, but and finishes with the sort of double kick and
Well, and it finishes with the crackling, like almost like the fire coming out. You hear kind
the
of
last 30 or 40 seconds is the sound of flames, which not real flames. It sounds like they've somehow recreated them with their instruments very cleverly. I hope they weren't real flames. Which brings us to track 12. Yep.
Track 12, Love, which I guess is explicitly about that time that he spent in that cabin for those 2 years.
Yeah. Now, this is, as far as I know, the sort of most well-known song from this album. It has a film clip. It's still played live, and I think I might have seen them play this live, not that I would have known because I was ignorant in 2012 when I saw them. But there is a film clip. There's links to the show notes of the film clip, which features someone in a forest, and it is about the feelings that came from living in the forest, and I really like this song. How did you go with it?
I really like this song as well. This was the other one where I sort of felt the Tom Morello influence, and I felt like there were definitely this is the one that I would hold up as there are definite elements of sort of metal and hip hop merging together on the guitar.
Yeah.
I like the picks, the sort of the pick drag that he does on the screens that make it sound on the strings that make it sound like a record scratch. Just I really like sort of what I like this song, but I really like what the guitar player Christian Andrew is doing with it.
Yep. And of course the drummer again. I mean, we say that every song, but there's some incredibly fast, not only double kick work, but some snare work that's almost sounds inhuman. And then a really great breakdown right towards the end of the song where it all sort of falls away, and we're just left with this clean and simple, slower, crushing riff, which then leads into this sort of one note, again, death metal helmet sort of finish. A great song. I love this song. Great film clip too, if you haven't seen it. heavy but artistic, and clearly, this is a very cerebral band with I think some important artistic statements to make, and I think this is perhaps the best example of that on this album.
Which brings us into track 13, which is 19,910 quadrillions detons.
Yeah, it's getting heavier.
What this
quadrillion?
Quadrillion? What did I say? Quadrillion? Quadrillion.
I don't know. It's heavy, whatever it is.
Yeah, this song was the one that was a little bit disturbing for me. The tortured screaming. I'm not sure what I was supposed to take away from this track, but it was kind of unnerving. I will say this though. So while I was listening to this song, my 2-year-old daughter woke up on the flight, and I was happy to say that I was able to distinguish her screaming from the screaming that I was hearing coming from the headphones. So I did have to stop listening to the song and tend to her. Right. But the tortured screams was kind of
take those out. It's a good song. I like the melodic guitar, but with those things, I just skip this.
Yep, the acoustic riff played over the top is really cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they do continue with the musical interludes in later albums, but perhaps have a little more restraint to just let the listener relax a bit without torture and screams and stuff.
Dial down the ambiance a bit.
Yep. So I ended up skipping this, for most of my listens. Just, I don't want to feel that level of discomfort when I'm listening to music. The last song, In the Forest, similar to Love in a way. I actually thought maybe it's a little too similar to Love to be this close on the album. I would have liked one of those songs to be in the front half of the album and the other in the second half, rather than almost back to back. Because they do have that juxtaposition of the slower verses and the fast sort of jackhammer riffy syncopated rhythms. This is even faster. I mean, I had to play this. I gave the headphones to my wife and said, can you have a listen to this? I mean, is this even... I mean, she's classically trained in music. I said, what are these notes? I mean, I know them up to semi quavers. Is that? I think that's the smallest note I can think of. These are like demi, hemi, semi, quasi quavers or something. I don't know what these are.
So I'm not alone here.
I was trying to count them. How many notes in a bar can you fit?
We're going to have to go back to school to be able to talk about the next couple albums, I fear.
Yeah. In fact, right throughout the album, I was thinking, I'm glad I don't have to score this, because I don't know how you would do it.
Could you imagine? Make a Broadway musical out of this album?
Like one page per bar.
It does start off. It starts off with kind of that cool gallop, though, before the attack, the onslaught. Like, the words I keep using over and over on this album is just the onslaught. Just this onslaught that's just sort of coming at you. It would be like if you were a boxer just getting pummeled and you just gotta wait for him to tire down.
Yeah. So I use jackhammer. I use similar words. I mean, just going through my notes, there's pummeling I've used a few times. Jackhammer for this one. I mean, it's so technical. I just thought instantly was suspicious. Can they actually play this? I mean, surely this is just Pro Tools or something. I mean, this is not possible. Like drum triggers, and I actually had to do some research on drum triggers, and I was sort of suspiciously Googling Gojira drum trigger, but they seem to be able to play it live. There's footage of his feet, and it's not just the drummer here, it's the guitar rhythms. Man, it's like a blur. But again, I think they're doing it. I think they can actually do it, which to their credit, it is so technical. This is really showing off. I mean, but it's good. I like it.
Who was it? I was listening to an interview. This was a long time ago. I really don't remember who it was. And they were saying that the argument is that a band who is put together later in life can never be as good as a band who sort of grew up knowing each other, because you'll never be as in sync with each other as sort of as you are at that moment. And then you take bands with brothers in them, and whether it's for harmonizing or for just being able to feel each other out and playing through a song, you can't match sort of the power of like a brotherhood in a band. And and I would give you Oasis to counter that argument at any given moment, but I would give you this band to say that's at, like, this band and maybe, you know, the Beach Boys to say that that's absolutely true.
I like Oasis, by the way. Well, that's a
I do
conversation.
too. I do too, by the way, but they're also extremely ridiculously dysfunctional.
Yes, true. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, really memorable song, and one that I had to keep playing this again and again, like just to try and pick it apart to some extent. But I just think it's almost at the point where I haven't heard anything like this. I mean, it's incredible and really good. And yeah, there is some live footage of them playing it, so I can recommend that to you if you haven't seen it, and it'll be in the show notes, listener. It finishes, so that's the end of the album. Ostensibly, there is a hidden track as well, though, called Terra Inc. Now, I believe the original release differed from the current release in that there was a much bigger gap between the end of In the Forest and the hidden track Terra Inc. So
I think I read
in the
that too.
version that I've got, it goes straight, basically straight from one into the other. But I think there was a minute or two, or maybe more, interlude of silence in the original release, which I probably would have worked better, I think.
Oh, the version I have, there's about a minute or two in between.
Right. Okay. I think the original version had a much longer interlude anyway.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And yes, so here at the end, so Terra Inc. has almost like a dub finish. So again, some of that DJ influence that you've spoken about.
It's a cool jammy little number. I like it. It feels different. I never understood the hidden track. Like what how did, as a band, I always like the hidden track. I'm not speaking ill of the hidden track, but as a band, how do you decide what the hidden track is? It just something that you all like? This one, it sounds like something they just kind of jammed on, and they're like, that's cool. What do we do with it? I don't know. Throw it at the end. I don't know.
I always picture it as something that catches you off guard when late at night when you've just about dozed off and you think, oh, the album's finished, and then you sort of have this dreamy moment where, hang on, what's going on here? Like it sort of, catches the listener off guard.
I remember that with Tool. I don't remember if it was their first album or second album, but I used to listen to it at night when I was going to bed, and it was that last hidden track would always kind of mess with you. This one's fun. The Tool one tended to be haunting. The one I'm thinking of was haunting. This one, I liked it. It's kind of a jammy little fun number.
Yeah. Overall, how did you view this album?
So, okay, so this is where overall I enjoyed it.
Because you seem very positive about it track by track. I'm wondering if that same positivity extends to the overall album.
So I liked this album for what it was. I accepted that this album was a debut. I accepted that this band came highly, highly recommended by somebody whose musical tastes I do trust. But as I was listening to a lot of it, it was just, there was sort of that kind of that factory machine-like kind of industrial kind of sound where I was just, all right, I don't know if I can do 6 albums of this. And that was where, I think that was why when the new track came out a couple weeks ago, I was like, let me just hear where they end up. Right. And I did listen to that new track, and I'm like, this is exactly what this is what I want to know. I want to know how they get from here to there.
Yep.
And so, I was listening to the new track. That hands down my favorite song on the album.
You can't do that. Right. But yeah, no, you had Space Time. I had Blow Me Away as your
Space Time. Yep.
as your favorite. Blow Me Away, Universe. I am extremely positive about this album. I'm glad we've heard it without having our thoughts clouded by potentially better later albums. I don't want to judge those yet, but that seems to be, this seems to be their new stuff's better than their old stuff. Sort of is the general vibe from what I've read, from what little I've read. So it's nice to hear the first album unclouded by the later albums. The one reservation I would have, and a lot of this, again, it's not a genre that I've listened to much as I've grown older. I feel like I've grown out of death metal a bit. But this reminded me, this brought back a lot of youthful, good memories about how I used to enjoy music, and particularly, like I used to love Sepultura, I think, and Slayer, and just the drum, the power of the drums, and this recaptured that feeling for me. My one reservation would be the Cookie Monster style death metal vocals. Perhaps perhaps that's something that I have. It didn't come back for me. I quite liked it back in the day because I felt like it was something that my parents hated and everyone else hated, but I understood it, and I'd read the lyric sheets and I knew there was actually some intelligent lyrics here behind the gruff, demonic sort of exterior. I'm not sure that feeling came back for me, and I'm hoping we perhaps will hear less of the Cookie Monster style vocals, maybe not on the next album, but later on, because there's enough in this to suggest that the guy can sing, and I'd prefer a bit more Mastodon style rather than the sort of Morbid Angel demonic stuff.
So to be fair, your analysis, your reservations, you're talking about how the way you sort of felt, how you used to enjoy listening to music, right?
Yep.
This album is 19 years old.
Yeah.
So it is a product of the time of how we used to enjoy listening to music. So it will be interesting to see have our tastes and their tastes sort of over the years, aligned. Is this also the type of music that they used to enjoy listening to?
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm really looking forward to following this band. I think we've chosen well again. I hope we do. I mean, we put a lot of time into choosing our bands. We don't want to choose something we don't like. So We're generally going to be positive about the bands and the albums that we're talking about. We're not here to pick bad albums and pick them apart. We're here to pick good stuff and to experience it together and with our listeners. And
it's a long road. We definitely want to enjoy this.
Yeah, but I think there's enough on this album to say, yeah, we've picked a good band here. I thoroughly enjoyed this debut. I don't care that perhaps their later albums are better. This album on its own is an excellent album, and it was really nice to get to experience that for the first time over the last few weeks. And it's been a nice companion.
Have you done any research on this band? Are we going to see any band member changes?
Don't know.
Okay. Nor do I.
Yeah. I'm imagining the next. I don't know what your expectations are for the next album. I'm expecting something reasonably similar to this one. I don't expect to see the real progressive growth until later on. Just from what limited, some of the reviews I read of this album hinted at some major growth and change later on in their career. I don't expect we'll see all of that in their next album just yet. So I'm expecting something closer to this album than that final track that you heard, obviously.
I feel like, so this was done, and I don't mean to use September 11th as a benchmark, but this was finished or released in March of 2001. And I do feel like the music that came out in 2002, there was just a different vibe. There was a different feel. And I feel like there was, I don't know if it was like a consciousness shift. I don't know what it was, but I guess I am expecting something different.
Yeah. I mean, the world changed.
Yeah, maybe a little less. I don't know what I'm expecting. I am expecting something a little different. Like I'm expecting the next album to be a better representation of the starting point of the band than this album, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What's it called? The next one? Is it The Link? Is that the next one?
Yeah, The Link.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't take us too long to record. Let's aim for a couple of weeks if we can. Now that I've settled in here and you're into a bit more of a routine back in your current home and my former current home, and we'll be home again soon. So let's try and get these out a bit more regularly. We haven't done the band Brownlow yet, so let's just quickly run through that now.
So
3 votes.
Right, you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know who it's going to be. Sure. Right, go. 3 votes, go.
All right, so 3 votes is Mario Duplantier.
Yes.
Drums.
All right, 3 votes for me, Mario, yes. All right, good.
Second vote's Joe Duplantier. I think that, again, vocals, some amazing things. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 votes, Joe, as well. As much from what I've seen, not only from what I heard on the album, but also from what I've seen of them playing this stuff live, he seems to be the leader, and I imagine some sort of creative driver in this band. And there's enough in here lyrically, both in, and I assume he writes the lyrics, I don't know, but I really like the lyrics of this album. There's some really intelligent stuff here.
I was surprised that the lyrics were all in English. I don't know why. I was expecting at least more of a balance between French and English. Not a big thing. All right, my 1 vote. So I went with Christian Andrew. I really do like the guitar sound. I don't know who's responsible for the guitar sounds that I like. I don't know if it's Christian Andrew or if it's Joe Duplantier. I can't. I'm not able to distinguish their guitar sounds from one another. So I kind of just hedge my bets and put him as my 1 vote.
Okay, so this is where we differ. So I've gone for the bass player Jean-Michel Labadie. Didn't at first I thought, the bass player is a bit of a sort of Jason Newsted lost in the mix kind of bass player, but then repeated listens, I started to notice him more and more, and then as I said, in the second half of the album, there's a lot more bass driven stuff and a bit more space for him to work in, and I think he does a really good job supporting those big riffs throughout without ever overdoing it and trying to be too fancy. Like, perhaps that might be a criticism of, say, the band Death. Sometimes the bass just becomes a bit too jazzy and distracting. I thought he's nicely restrained, but he also gets a bit of room to work in the second half of the album. So, yeah, Jean-Michel gets my 1 vote here. But clearly this is Mario's. It's a showcase for Mario to show what he can do on the drums, and the rest of the band are there to just sort of keep up as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So band Brownlow is done. The album is done. Hopefully you enjoyed the album as much as we did, listener. Hopefully you enjoyed our podcast and you agreed or disagreed in some way with what we say. Let us know if you have any of your own thoughts you'd like to share with us. You can get in touch through our website, unshuffledpod.com, on Twitter @unshuffledpod, or via email, unshuffledpod@gmail.com. So there's a few channels you can get in contact with us or through, if you like. So we'd love to hear from you. We know there are plenty of listeners out there and a growing audience. So stick with us and come on this journey with us into musical intentionality. This is a really good band to do it with too. So if you in any way like heavy music and heavy drums in particular, then follow us as we follow this really interesting French band as they develop and change throughout the course of their career.
I don't mean to interrupt the sign off here real quick, but so we said we were going to make the decision if we do the link for the next album or if we go back and pick up.
Thank you. Yeah, we do need to do that. So you're saying that the Bitchwax has released their album?
It's out. But I will. Here's my push, if I may. And then we can see, listeners, if you disagree, then you should write in.
Yes.
This would be a great thing to hear. We put it up on Twitter there. Put up a poll.
Yeah. All right.
I think we should see Gojira through. I think we should see this through to the end, and then when we're done with Gojira, pick up Bitchwax before we decide our next band. That's my vote.
All right. I'm in full agreement with you. Let's do that. And I really, having spent so long on this album, I really am ready for the next Gojira album rather than just finally getting this podcast out and then jumping off to another band straight away. I want to stick with them too. So let's do that. My caveat would be, unless we hear from the Atomic Bitchwax band or album, or any, if we have any strong opinions from, our listeners or anyone else that says
they know where to find us.
Yeah, they know where to find us if you want to change our minds. Speaking of record labels, thank you, Small Stone, for allowing us to use our opening and closing track, which comes from a band called Seven Planets. Their album is called Explorer, and the track is called Vanguard, and the whole album is excellent, and you should buy it and listen to it because it's really good. Thank you, Scott. Really nice to speak to you again after so long and so much travel time, and this has become, very rapidly changing year. This has become one constant that I always look forward to. So thank you, and thank you, listener, for sticking with us and for putting up with the delay between the previous podcast and this one. And but yeah, stick with us now as we explore Gojira.
Matt, it's been absolutely great to see you again. I'm really looking forward to the moment where we can do this and be like, well, what's happened with you the last couple of weeks? Nothing.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Sort of. But listeners, yes, thank you very much, and we'll start bridging these a little bit closer together now that everything's kind of settled down a bit.
Yep. And speaking of agonizing cries, you may have picked up a little bit of crying in the background throughout this podcast. I think it sounds like my youngest child has been firing up a bit out there, so I better go and do less podcasting and more parenting. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure as always, and stick with us and do try and bring some intentionality into your own listening, because I'm enjoying it, and it's great to go on this journey. So come with us if you dare as we continue.
Thank you, everybody. Let's do this again soon.